Hello everyone, this time I thought I'd show you my Game Boy Advance collection. So first up we have my system, which I've had since I originally got one, and I still have the box for that, which has like no shelfware. It's in really good condition. We just took the Game Boy Advance out of the box and put the box in the loft. And I also have a case which I originally got for it, which is just a little bag for it, and it's got a pocket on the front for you to keep games in, but I don't actually use it anymore because if I were to play a Game Boy Advance game, I'd play it on my Dingu, and because it has save states, and I'm a big advocate of save states. I think that even regular games should have save states and rewind, kind of like Braid and Prince of Persia have rewind, and like the Sonic Mega collections and stuff on PS2 and GameCube, they also had save states, and although they were terrible because it took absolutely ages to save and load your state. But I also have a second Game Boy which I got the other day at car boot sale for £2, and both of these have the battery cover. I don't see how you can lose them because they are physically clipped onto the back, and unless you actually break it, in which case you probably don't take very good care of your consoles. I've never had problems with the cases breaking, the clips breaking on the back, but the Game Boy I got the other day also came with a case for the original Game Boy for some reason, but that was definitely worth the £2 I paid for it. Now I thought I'd show you my boxed Game Boy Advance collection, and first up we have Caesar's Palace Advance, then two games in one, Columns Crown and Choo Choo Rocket, then Monopoly, then Salt Lake 2002, Street Jam Basketball, and the Sum of All Fears. And I'll show you inside. Here we have Caesar's Palace Advance, and this came with a precautions leaflet, a really thick manual, which is quite typical of European manuals, because as you can see there are, if I get the right page up, there are multiple different languages in there, because, yeah, and so they have much thicker manuals over here, and the game, which is still in a little plastic sleeve, and that's the UK version. Next up we have Columns Crown and Choo Choo Rocket, which randomly came with a Nintendo Power leaflet, which is USA, even though, as you can see from the age rating, this is a English version, so I don't know why that's there, but I'm not going to get rid of it. Another quite thick manual, and but that's because it has Choo Choo Rocket on one side and Columns Crown on the other, and actual game itself, and that is the European version. Next up is Monopoly, which came with an Alien Hominid advertisement, which I absolutely love that game, Alien Hominid. It's one of the best side-scrolling shoot-em-ups, whatever you want to call it, that I've ever played. I really like it. And here's a precautions leaflet, and it came with a manual, and the game in a little plastic sleeve again. That's the European version. Then down here we have Salt Lake 2002, which came with the manual, which again is quite thick and most likely multi-language. Yeah, as you can see, 6 different languages. That's quite typical of a European game. And Salt Lake 2002, and the insert, and it's the European version. Then we have Street Jam Basketball, which came with the precautions leaflet. Quite thin manual, really. Quite surprised about that. And the game in a little plastic sleeve again, and this is the UK version. Then we have, for the Sum of All Fears, we have the little precautions leaflet, the manual, the insert, and the game in a plastic sleeve, which is the European version. So, and now we have my loose Game Boy Advance games, and I have Are You Men Advance, Bomberman Tournament, Iridium 3D, Mario Kart Super Circuit, Road Rash Jailbreak, which I'm a big fan of the Road Rash series, but that game wasn't that great really. I didn't think so anyway. Scooby-Doo, Mystery Mayhem, which I actually have the manual for. And strangely, when I bought Column's Crown and Choo Choo Rocket in one, the woman, I bought it at a car boot sale, and the woman said there's 2 games in that one. And I thought, well, that's probably why it says 2 games in one in big letters on the front. But no, it actually had this in as well as the other one, so technically it had 3 games in one. But next up is Tweety and the Magic Gems, which I thought was alright. It's a fairly fun board game. Probably be better if you used the multiplayer, but it's alright, one player as well. And so here is my entire Game Boy Advance collection. Technically I do actually have 2 Game Boy Advance SPs and a copy of Space Invaders on the Game Boy Advance, but they're actually my mum's, because she's a massive fan of Space Invaders, and she likes the Game Boy Advance SP because the screen doesn't get scratched and it's backlit, which is one of the main reasons I don't play my Game Boy Advance, because you can't actually see the screen, which is a bit stupid, especially since before the Game Boy Advance came out, it had a predecessor which was the Game Boy Light, which had a backlight, so I don't see why they suddenly decided that was a bad idea and took that out, but whatever, that's Nintendo for you. So, there we are.